What is going on, my fellow comic book readers, collectors, and enthusiasts alike? I am your host, Alt, here at Control Alt Defeat Comics, and today is Tuesday, which means it is time for another Top Tuesday. And since it is the first Tuesday of the month of February, that means I am giving you my top 15 most anticipated comics for the month of February 2026. Now, before we get started with this video, I do want to preface it with, I am a little bit under the weather right now, so if you can tell, my voice is not quite its normal sound and whatnot. My throat is a little scratchy, so if I do sound a little off, or if I end up, having more frequent edits because I have to cut out coughing, excuse me, I apologize. Hopefully I will be over this shortly and we can be back to business as usual, but I did not want to miss my Top Tuesday. So we are here, we are pushing through, and we are getting your content to you. So if you enjoy this video at any point, please drop a like. Any kind of feedback or commentary you can leave me is greatly appreciated, especially right now. So thank you so much for checking this video out. Let's get right on into it with number 15. Number 15 on my list is going to go to Titans issue number 32. This is a DCKO tie-in event. It has a release date of February 18th, 2026, with a cover price of $3.99. This is written by John Layman with artist Pete Woods. And I've really been enjoying the storyline within the Titans. So far, the Titans has been my favorite DCKO tie-in that is not a new story specifically for DCKO. So, like, something that was already an ongoing series prior to DCKO. This is probably my favorite of them. Either this one or Superman. It's a really hard toss-up between those two because they both have a really, really good story going on right now. But the way the last issue ended off, this story essentially is the Titans have been tasked with evacuating the entire population of Earth before it turns into a new apocalypse by Darkseid. And this last issue in particular very much dealt with the fact that these Titans are now scattered and separated from each other while carrying out their mission. And the way the last issue ended, I won't spoil, but it was something else. I am very excited to see where this goes from here. So yeah, that is why it is at number 15. Very excited to read that one. Let's move on to number 14. And number 14 is actually kind of low on this list, but this is going to go to the new history of the DC Universe, the Dakota Incident. This is a new addition to the new history of the DC Universe. It is a release date of February 25th, 2026, and it has a cover price of $5.99. This is a story with a very large creative list. It looks like various writers and various artists working on this story, and it is all about the various African-American heroes within the DC Universe, and the story of Dakota City, the city that Static Shock is from, and all of the incident that happens with that, with like the Boom Babies and everything that occurs within Static Shock. Now, I'm not the biggest Static Shock person. Not that I don't like him, I just don't have a large amount of knowledge of the character. All of my knowledge of Static Shock is from the animated series and the appearances that he had in a couple of the other animated series, like he showed up in Batman Beyond and Justice League, I think, a couple of times. So that is kind of my experience with Virgil as a character, other than the Batman and Static Beyond series that is ongoing right now that I've also been reading. And he did also just show up in DCKO, The Kids Are All Fight, as well. So, but I want to pick this up because I am curious about his character. He seems really cool, and I always loved the animated series. It was one of my favorite, animated series growing up, so he is a character I want to learn more about. I just haven't actually done. So I'm very excited to read this. Of course, this is a Black History Month comic celebrating a lot of various African American comic book creators and artists, and celebrating a lot of the greatest African American heroes within DC Comics. And it seems like a really fun read. I can't wait to read it. I also really enjoyed the new history of the DC Universe. I think they are a nice little like pocket guide for DC references and for like stuff if you like need to kind of familiarize yourself, or like remember something. I think they're a really nice way to do that. So having this added on to that is going to be pretty nice. So that is why that is at number 14. Let's move on to number 13. And at number 13 here, we have got Dungeons of Doom issue number 2. This is another one that's kind of low on the list. This is written by Benjamin Percy and Philip Kennedy Johnson with a few artists on this book. This is releasing February 18th, 2026 with a cover price of $5.99. This is a pretty interesting story. The first issue wasn't as exciting as I was hoping for. I was really hoping we were going to get a little bit more of kind of like almost a Dungeons and Dragons, like dungeon delve type of story where you were going to have these characters going through and fighting these monsters that were protecting Doom's treasures and like collecting various magic or scientific artifacts that Doom has collected over the years. And it kind of is that, but it's kind of not, and I'm not sure. We're gonna see. I think it's only a 5-issue miniseries, so I'm gonna go ahead and give it a read. I'm gonna just pick it all up because why not, right? But yeah, so that is that. That is number 13. We're gonna move on to number 12. Number 12 on this list, it is really hard to pick between this one and number 11 on like where they should go, but I settled on this. Number 12 is going to go to Absolute Wonder Woman 2026 Annual number 1. This is, of course, as you heard, an annual comic. It is coming out February 11th, 2026 with a cover price of $5.99, written by Kelly Thompson with arts by Matea de Luis. And I'm really enjoying Absolute Wonder Woman. Absolute Wonder Woman is my favorite Absolute story. I think while Diana is actually the closest, I feel, in terms of like character to her mainline character, like I feel like she is a pretty similar character to the main DC continuity Diana. Her story, her surroundings, everything else is so different, and it's such a shut up, Siri. And it's such a fresh take on the character that I love it. I love it so much. I can't get enough of it. Very excited to see how this annual is. Obviously, the Batman annual from last year was absolutely phenomenal. So I'm really hoping that this ends up holding the same kind of like weight, because I want it to. I love Absolute Wonder Woman. I'm really excited to read this. That is why that is number 12 on my list. Moving on to number 11, and number 11 is honestly a little low. Number 11 is going to Null issue number 2. I really enjoyed that first issue. I am a sucker for Null. I am also a sucker for Al Ewing's writing. This is written by Al Ewing with, I think Tom Walls is assisting, and you've got Juanan Ramirez on arts. Ryan Stegman did the covers. This is a cover price of $4.99. This releases on February 18th. There's a lot of them that release on February 18th. And this is a really fun story. Again, we've just got it is essentially Null versus Hela, essentially. And that is quite the interesting little battle here. And so I'm really curious to see how this continues to play out, and that is why it's at number 11. Moving on to number 10. We are now in the top 10, and in the top 10 spot, we have Exquisite Corpses number 10. This is releasing February 18th, 2026, with a cover price of $4.99. I am going to be picking up both this and the cover C with the collectible trading card, as I always do. This is written by Jordi Belair and James Tynion IV, with Michael Walsh on arts. Mariana Ignazi is also doing arts on this one, on this issue as well, it looks like. I don't know if they're just a backup artist, but this story has been a lot of fun so far. I love this. It is very much kind of like just this story where you have a bunch of killers and psychopaths that are just dumped into a town, and each of them represents a different family within these 13 families that apparently represent the rulers of the entirety of America, and they do this competition every so often, and the last killer standing their country their family that picked them is now the ruler of America for however many years until they do this again. So it's been a lot of fun. The killers, the story, it's just been really entertaining. And every issue I find myself just clamoring to read. So that is why I had to put it at number 10. You can honestly tell that this is such a stacked week because of this being down as low as it is. So we are going to move on to number 9. And number 9 on this list is going to go to the New Space Age issue number 3. I just read issue number 2 the other day, and this story is so much fun. The New Space Age is essentially the story of a man who saw his brother get abducted by aliens as a kid a long time ago and has dedicated his entire life to trying to obtain the ability to travel through space to look for his brother, essentially. And this last issue, they pretty much developed their spacecraft they are going to use now to traverse the stars in order to try and find his brother. And I really like this. I've really been enjoying the story a lot, and it's a different story for one. This releases February 25th, 2026, with a cover price of $4.99. Excuse me. Kenny Porter is the writer on this one, and artist is Mike Becker. This is a Mad Cave comic, and this is the first Mad Cave comic I've ever actually read, and it has been a lot of fun so far. I'm really enjoying the art. It is very I don't know, it's different. It almost reminds me a little bit of Space Dandy meets the art of Archie comics, if that makes sense. That's sort of the vibe I get, and it's a lot of fun so far. I cannot wait to read this issue. That is why it is at number 9. Let's move on to number 8. Number 8 on this list is going to go to Escape issue number 6, and I believe this is the finale of this story, or it is at least the end of this first arc of the story. This story is all about a bomber named Milton in an army. This is like an anthropomorphic animals telling sort of a World War II story where he is shot down behind enemy lines and has spent his entire life demonizing and hating the other side, thinking they're just believing this propaganda that he has been fed, and both sides are being fed propaganda, clearly. But both sides are believing this propaganda that the other side are these just horrific, evil monsters that they do all kinds of awful things. And this is written by Rick Remender with Daniel Acuna on arts. This releases February 25th, 2026, with a cover price of $3.99. And I cannot wait to read this. I am sad that this is either the finale or just the final of this story arc. Either way, there is not currently another issue listed on League of Comic Geeks. That doesn't necessarily mean there's not more coming, but this might be the end. and I will be very sad to see it go if that is the case. But that is why this had to go at number 8. Moving on to number 7. And number 7 on this list is something that is probably going to shock a lot of people being this low. And that is going to go to Absolute Superman, issue number 16. This is a story written by Jason Aaron with Juan Ferreira on arts. This releases February 4th, 2026, so tomorrow, for a cover price of $4.99. This is one that is currently or will be sitting in my drawer for me at my local comic shop for me to go pick up tomorrow, and you will see me grabbing that in my new Comic Book Day vlog tomorrow. Spoilers. This is really interesting. We've started a new story arc here, and just based on the preview stuff for it, we know that this issue is going to feature Absolute Hawkman. And I am very excited for that, honestly, just to see the debut of a new Absolute character, honestly. That's exciting to me. So that is why I had to put this at number 7. Let's move on to number 6. Number 6 isn't even hitting the top 5. This is an amazingly loaded week. You can tell, because one of my all-time favorite books is not even hitting the top 5. And that is going to be Transformers issue 29. That is right. Energon Universe Transformers. Robert Kirkman on writing, Dan Mora on arts. This story's great. It is. It's phenomenal. I love everything about it. This releases February 11th, 2026, for a cover price of $3.99. And we have got a lot of this story has been a lot of fun. This last issue ended with Megatron doing something horrendously evil and being caught in the act by Optimus. And now we have got another fight between Optimus and Megatron. I'm not gonna lie, I was not expecting them to clash this early again, but I am here for it. And that is why it is at number 6. And now we've got to move on to the top 5. And at number 5 on this list, again, a statement to just how stacked this list is. At number 5, we have got my favorite Absolute Universe comic. This is Absolute Wonder Woman issue number 17. We have got a story where Wonder Woman is now facing off against a large group of villains being led by Absolute Zatanna in order to try and take her out, and she is currently without her magic. This is written by Kelly Thompson with arts by Hayden Sherman. It is a release date of February 25th, 2026, with a cover price of $4.99. And I've said it already during this video, Absolute Wonder Woman is my favorite comic within the Absolute Universe. I think it is so much fun, and honestly, like, there are plenty of other Absolute Universe titles that probably should have been on this list, but I didn't want to clog this list with only Absolute Universe books, and 2, there's just so many other good things coming out that I felt like I needed to talk about some of the other stuff that's releasing this week, so that's what I did. And yeah, this is a lot of excitement for me. Like I said, I've been loving the art, I've been loving the stories, so I had to put this at number 5. Moving on to number 4. And another entrance in the Energon universe. That's right. This is Void Rivals issue 27. This releases February 25th, 2026 for a cover price of $3.99. This is written by Robert Kirkman with art by Andresi Bressan. I have been loving the Quintesson War so far. This last issue gave us a lot of really cool action and the Sharkticons, which I love the Sharkticons. I am really excited to see where this where this story is going to continue to go. Yeah, I love Void Rivals. I've talked about it in almost every one of my videos that I have done on this channel at this point. I have gushed about Void Rivals, so I don't feel like I need to gush too much more about it, but just know this is one of the best books on shelves right now, and if you're not reading Void Rivals, you are missing out. Go read Void Rivals. That is why it is at number 4. Moving on to number 3. And number 3 on this list is going to go to DCKO Night Fight issue number 4. This is releasing tomorrow, February 4th, 2026, for a cover price of $3.99. This is written by Joshua Williamson with arts by Dan Mora. And let me start with, Dan Mora is slowly becoming one of my favorite artists in comic books right now. He's just, he's knocking it out of the park. Everything that he is doing art for is just absolutely gorgeous. This story, I don't want to spoil too much of what happens in the previous issue. However, you're probably currently looking at the main cover for it, which does kind of give stuff away, but I'm not going to talk too much about what's happened, but this story has been insane. It has been heartfelt, and I want to say this is the last or second to last issue. I want to say this is the last issue. And it has just been phenomenal from start to finish. I've loved everything about it so far. I've loved every issue, and I cannot wait for this issue to punch me in the feels the way that the rest have. That is why it is at number 3. Let's move on to number 2. Now, what could possibly be number 2 on this list? Number 2, Marvel hasn't had as many books on this list as it usually does. So let's go ahead and give them one more. This is Ultimate Spider-Man issue 24. This is the finale of the Ultimate Spider-Man story. This releases February 18th, 2026 for a cover price of $6.99. This is written by the GOAT Jonathan Hickman with art by Marco Ciccito. And it looks like David Massiana is also on this issue. This story's been a lot of fun. I love the Ultimate Spider-Man story has been my absolute favorite of all of the Ultimates stories. It's been great. And I am just insanely excited to see how it ends. So that is why it is at number 2. But, of course, there has to be one more. And if you know what's coming out this month, then you know what this is. You can guarantee you know. But for those who don't, number 1 on this list, my number 1 most anticipated comic for February 2026 is going to go to DCKO issue number 4. This story has been so good, every single issue. This story, I've said it before in another video, but this story is everything that the 1984 Secret Wars tried to be, okay? This story is essentially, when you break it down, it is DC saying, let's take all our action figures and let's smash them together and let's make some cool fights. And that's all it really is, but the story for that setup is so good. The emotional writing behind each and every one of these issues has been so good. The art has been phenomenal. The fights have been great. There's been 1 or 2 exceptions where I wasn't the biggest fan of. I didn't super love the Joker versus Jason Todd Red Hood issue. That wasn't, the outcome of that really rubbed me the wrong way. But I ultimately thought that ultimately though, DCKO, I've loved every issue. I've loved every tie-in issue. I loved the prologue leading up to it. Like, so far, every single thing involving DCKO has been insanely good. So every time this comes out, I'm so excited, and it just keeps getting better. I don't know if I mentioned the creative team, but it is written by Scott Snyder and Joshua Williamson with art by Javier Fernandez and Zermanico. I think that's how you pronounce their name. I'm very bad at pronouncing like North American English names. If your name basically isn't Chad or like Jim, I probably can't read it. If it's got more than 3 syllables, I'm screwed. And this story, it releases, I think I mentioned it before, but it releases February 11th, 2026 for a cover price of $5.99. And every time this story comes out, it is one of my most excited of the week, and that is why it is my number 1 most anticipated of the month. I feel like everybody is pretty well caught up at this point, so I don't feel like it's a spoiler, and it's kind of on the cover. This issue supposed to be taking on the absolute universe versions of the characters, and I'm so excited to see how that goes. So, yep, that is why it is my number 1 on this list. And that is going to bring it to the end of this list, which is going to be the end of this video. I want to say thank you so very much for watching. If you enjoyed this video at any point, please like, comment, or subscribe. Any kind of feedback or commentary you can leave this channel is always greatly appreciated. I'm always looking forward to having a conversation down in the comment section below with you about comic books. Comic books are my passion, and if you're watching this channel, I imagine they are yours as well. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to check out my channel for more comic book content to come. If you would like to subscribe to see more, I have recently hit 41 subscribers, so thank you to each and every one of you who has hit that subscribe button and helped me get further towards my goal of hitting 100 subscribers by the end of 2026. I am really chugging along at that, so again, just sincerely, thank you so much for checking out this channel. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope to see you tomorrow for my new Comic Book Day vlog. Have yourself a fantastic day, fantastic week, and I will see you in my next video. Goodbye.